It's April 10, 1912, and engineering marvel departures the shores of Southampton, England. Nothing could stand against this mammoth. It's unsinkable, they said. In the early morning of April 15, 1912, a few days after the first and unfortunately only voyage, the Titanic sank into the ocean, taking with her over 1,500 people. We as a country are failing. Botswana's economic growth has slowed down. Youth unemployment is a big pain not only for the youth, but for the government as well as our parents. I say this as a citizen, and I ask for this chance to speak directly to those of you I know might listen to me. In a moment of panic, Titanic steersman Robert Hitchens, instead of steering the ship safely to the left of the iceberg, he steered the ship the wrong way, right into the iceberg. And that's what we have recently seen the university students in the capital resort to. The more our problems compound without sustainable solutions, the higher the risk of panic and wrong decision making. I would like to use this opportunity to address the Botswana youth. Let me start here by saying that I, like you, understand exactly what frustrations you have about life, about survival, about employment, and how this easily erodes your view of life and diminishes whatever iota of hope you had in the government, paving the way to ensure your success in life. I understand all of it, for I, like you, have lived in the soils of Botswana, where as a recent graduate, I went to bed not knowing where my next meal would come from. I also understand that some of you are all your families look up to. My friends, we are a very unfortunate generation. The country is at its most capable now, but is in its worst shape in recent history. There is a moment when every generation is faced by its biggest challenge, threatening the meaning of hope and happiness to such a generation. For a lot of us, that moment is now. The government doesn't and will probably not want to admit to us that it has failed us. Youth unemployment is a real monster to which the government has never come with a satisfactory, sustainable solution. And for as long as they can, politicians will always come up with policies whose legacy is quick, flashy, and impressively presented, to last only until the next election cycle. University has become a place that prepares us just enough to stay alive and witness our dreams being shattered by a failing economic environment. Today, the far-reaching echoes of our cries dampen the spirits of those to whom our footsteps once mattered as a measure to follow. But despite all this, we can take responsibility and ensure we restore hope in our lives. The government does not promise anyone happiness, but opportunities that, when taken advantage of, may lead to the youth being empowered. It is up to us to make sure we sensitize the government and only respond positively to policies that are sustainable. We can do our best to inform ourselves of how youth in other progressive countries have worked with their governments to improve their lives. And we can do our best to show maturity, responsibility, and exercise our right to vote when the time comes. We live in a time where information exists easily in the palm of our hands. Instead of using social media to post selfies, let's use it to educate ourselves, to inform ourselves, to arm ourselves with relevant knowledge. Our younger brothers and sisters graduate university to join us at home, where we've become a disappointing burden to our parents. And speaking of parents, I would like to take this opportunity to direct my speech at you. We as the youth of this country do realize that you are most content with the status quo. In that spirit of contentment you display, may I please appeal to your objective minds and beg you to have an understanding that it is not out of disrespect that we say the things we say as youth, that we do the things we do as the youth, and that we're not only a generation of crybabies and complainers. that it is only because we don't have your strength, your resilience, your courageous tolerance to everything in which we don't see eye to eye. I beg of you then, to please forgive me if I go out of line when I say the situation you have so respected, the country for which you have dedicated your lives to build, does not provide a promising future for your children and grandchildren. Whereas during your times you got recruited to the best of companies for employment while still in university, today we have to fight tooth and nail to get even half of anything that would allow us to get by every day. Our dissatisfaction is therefore our cry. Our hope about the future is turned gloom by situations we have no ability to control. We are not an angry generation. For what you may describe as anger is an external expression of our internal struggle in an environment so overwhelming it dissolves us into insignificant members of society. In a moment of despair, to remain strong, all we do is speak out and hope somebody listens. Perhaps I make the situation too gloomy, and perhaps you think I don't know what I'm talking about and you'd like to hear it from a different source. I ask you to pick a newspaper, read about the reality of youth unemployment in our country, sit down with your children, with your grandchildren, and where you once used to call them useless, lazy, spoon-fed, self-obsessed, instead ask them to describe the situation of this country through their experiences. Let them tell you about unemployment as they see it in our country. At the end, I'd like to say to all that I know that it is far easier to fight for principles than to live up to them. We know what principles we stand for. Togetherness. We have a problem, and we can only get out of this mess we're getting into if we work together as young people and their parents. The Titanic hit an iceberg because of a decision taken in a moment of panic, and just like the Titanic, we may end up in a moment of panic and cause the captain to steer the ship in the wrong course right into the iceberg, taking all of us down with the ship. Nobody wants that. Thank you. That's it from me, guys. It's a wrap.